reason you come to Chicago is a fast course, a great competition, and ideal conditions, and we have ideal conditions today.
Chicago Marathon. Some of the greatest marathon runners in the world competing. And also in that group, 45,000 other ones. Age groupers to elite runners. It's quite a spectacle every year, and it never gets tired of looking at it, Tim.
No, it's unbelievable, isn't it? They call it a river of humanity, and that describes it perfectly. But, I mean, the spirit this year is stronger than ever. You know, what doesn't break you makes you stronger. And after Boston, so many of these athletes, I think, are running with just that little extra pump in their hearts, that little extra pride.
I think it's fair to say, too, there's several hundred people who ran in Boston who are running today here in Chicago.
Well, most definitely. It's not unusual to see people run 2, 3, even 4 marathons a year. And, you know, it sets a release when you're there. Many of these runners have been standing there for 30, 40 an hour or longer. And for that gun to go off, there's finally that release. And all the training that they've done, 6 months plus of training and preparation for this, they're very excited. We're going to have a great event.
One of the things that people hope to see is records broken on this day. And for the record, Paula Radcliffe, the world record holder, currently at 2:15:25. She did that back in, London in 2003, I believe. And the world record for men was set just 3 weeks ago by Wilson Kipsang of Kenya. He did it in Berlin, 2:03:13. Or 23, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, conditions are absolutely perfect. You know, this is record-setting weather. One can talk about records too much. You know, what we want to see, what is sustainable, is great racing, great head-to-head, man against man, woman against woman. But conditions are perfect. Jason Hartman is out there in front. He's an American boy who's due to lead these first 5 kilometers, set the tempo, get a nice steady rhythm for those elite athletes, and help them get into their race in just the right way.
And what they're hoping to do is come through the half marathon at 1:02:05 or so. That'd be slightly off of world record pace. But the thing that I've found is as long as you put together great competition, then the time usually takes care of itself. And I think we have just that right now.
Many of these young people and older people, people of all ages got here early in the morning, maybe as early as we did, which was about 3 o'clock. They had anywhere from sleeping bags to their cars. It didn't matter as long as they got to the start line, and most of them did, we think.
And that's Jason Hartman, the taller runner in front. He is one of our designated pace setters. He'll lead through the first 5K. He actually finished 4th at Boston twice, so he's a very elite level runner himself.
But you need that these days, don't you? You get the pacemakers through the middle and latter stages of these marathons. If they're going to be in there till 30K, that's 3/4 distance, as we hope today. Those are guys who could probably finish in the top 10 in the race, and they're sacrificing their own chances to set it up for the others.
All right, let's go to the course now and talk to Tony Revis. Tony.
Well, Mike, we have 5 major pace setters in this race, led off by Jason Hartman, who grew up in the same town, Rockford, Michigan, as Nathan Ritzenheim. He'll take it through 5 kilometers. Abdullah Falil, over P45, our second pacer, will go to 15.5 miles. And then we got 2 guys who'll go to 30 kilometers, 18.5, and then one guy's going all the way to the bottom end of the course to 23 miles. So we're setting it all up for the racers in the final 7 kilometers. But right now, behind the pacers, the man who's taken the lead, the point of the race, is Moses Mosop, our 2:11 champion. This is exactly what happened in 2011 when he won the race to set the course record at the time. He was the guy that tucked in right behind the pace setters and made his presence known. So in many ways, with a very well-matched field, Moses Mosop is the alpha male.
All right, thank you, Tony. Let's go quickly to Alicia Roman for a quick update on the weather. Alicia.
And Mike, it's a perfect start to the race. You can see the runners right beside me coming in the masses down Columbus Avenue right in front of our NBC5 studios. Everybody running, and I'm pretty sure they are enjoying the temperatures right now because it couldn't our fresh forecast. Now temperature is 53 degrees. By 8 o'clock, we'll bump it up a degree to 54. 9 o'clock, 56. 10 o'clock, we'll see that temperature right around 57 degrees. By noontime, the temperature is in the low 60s. So we'll keep a track and a look at everybody running right by me as we go through the rest of the morning. We'll send it back to you, Mike.
All right, thank you, Alicia. Guys, that's very, very favorable. There's not much of a temperature change between now and 8 o'clock when the competition should get a little tougher.
No, that's right. I mean, I think maybe some of these elite would have preferred that temperature to climb a little bit more. I mean, it's pretty chilly this morning, and you're used to that at the start of marathons. Ed. You've run big elite marathons before. You expect the temperature to climb, but conditions, we shouldn't get pernickety about these. These are ideal conditions.
Well, and we were concerned about the wind, but the wind seems to have backed off a little bit. They are going to be running into a bit of a headwind for the first 7 miles or so. I just got word that their first mile was about 4:48 for the first mile. They were hoping to run about 4:45, so a couple seconds slow, that certainly can be made up easily.
But we've only just begun here. Stick around as the Bank of America Chicago Marathon, the 36th running, continues in a moment. Okay. Welcome back to the 36th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. We're about 8 minutes into the race, and right now we go back to Stephen Holt with a special guest.
He's no stranger to the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Tim Maloney, President of Bank of America here in Chicago. You've been here before at the event, but this is your first time running this year.
It is. I made the decision I would compete this year. It's been a huge challenge. The training has been more than I thought it would be. So, boy, do I have a great appreciation for what all these folks have gone through. And, for the bank, we're putting a face on our 300 employees and 45,000 folks running this thing.
This partnership with the Chicago Marathon you've had for quite a while now. Talk about the relationship, though, with the city of Chicago and what an amazing course this is, all the people that come for this.
This race is all about connections and collaboration. The collaboration we have with the city of Chicago, the mayor who's here this morning, his administration, Chicago police, you name it, is invaluable. We could not do this without the help of a lot of partners, and the city is invaluable in that effort.
You're going to be joining this group here in just a minute, but looking out at this sea of runners taking off down Columbus, what goes through your mind?
This is an amazing emotional experience. You see this at the beginning and the energy and the excitement of everyone. Then when you're at the finish line and you see the triumph of people as they come across. The mayor said this morning, this is about the triumph of the human spirit. He's right.
You were going to feel those emotions shortly. How are you feeling about getting out there and running?
I don't know about shortly, but I'm ready to go.
Tim Maloney, great to see you. Good luck. Looking forward to seeing you out there in the course.
Thank you.
All right, we'll send it back to you guys in the booth.
All right, thank you very much, Stefan. Tim Maloney not only talks the talk, he walks the walk. Let's go to Joan Benoit Samuelson. She's on course to set up where we're at in the women's race. Joan.
Okay, we're just coming up on 3K, and our leader is Maria Konovalova. She is a veteran of this course. She's finished as high as 4th place here, and she's looking very strong. I saw her at the press conference yesterday. She's confident. She doesn't have the speed of the others, but as I said, she knows this course well, and she looks in total control right now. But the pack is probably about 50 yards behind her with all the likely suspects. And we're coming up on 2 miles, and she's going to be about 10:45 at that mark.
All right, thank you very much, Joan. Konovalova was 6th here in Chicago last year. Set a PR too, 2:23.50.
2010, she was 3rd here, so she knows this course. It's been good to her in the past, and certainly feeling good right now.
That's a big pack too in the men's race, which is good to see everybody going with the pace. 4:41 for the 2nd mile, which is 7 seconds quicker than the 1st mile. They're really easing into it now. That puts them right on course record schedule. We're looking for it 4:45. We don't talk about records all morning, but 4:45 is the average tempo they need to be moving at per mile, and they're exactly on that through 2 miles.
And I think what they found, Tim, is when they heard that first mile was slow, they said, okay, boys, let's ratchet this thing up a little bit. And as a pace setter or rabbit, you don't want to do things too erratically. You want things to be subtle. You want to get in the good fluid motion going, and I think we've got just that.
All right, let's go to the lead pack of male elite runners. Tony Revis. Tony.
All right, we're on LaSalle heading north. We're going to be heading dead north now until about the 7.5 mile mark. And this is where the wind will be in their face. While it is, it'll also be in their face for the last about 3 or 4 miles. But all the intervening miles will be the wind slightly at their back. Now, the pack is about 14 deep here at LaSalle and Madison, but just off the back of the pack is Nathan Ritzenheim. He's about 3 or 4 strides behind the lead pack. But this is not unusual. He told us the other day that he wanted a perfect pace for him around 62:30 to 62:45, and we anticipate that Jason Hartman, his longtime friend, will, after his duties in the front at 5 kilometers, tuck back and join up with Ritz, and they'll run together. So Ritz is on that very fine line between running with the leaders at 62:05 and maybe going a little over his head and running 62:30 where he feels he belongs. So things are going according to pace. 14 guys in this lead pack behind our 6 pace setters right now, heading north on LaSalle.
All right, thank you very much, Tony. Time now for our Xfinity World Splits. Let's take a look. This is what Wilson Kipsang did in Berlin earlier this year, just 3 weeks ago. These were his splits. 14:33 at 5 kilometers and so on. And 1:01:34 at the halfway point.
Yeah, conditions in Berlin, I was there by the finish line 2 weeks ago in the German capital. Conditions then were absolutely perfect, pretty much identical to this morning's. He had great pacemakers too for the first half. And you know, these guys have so much work to do through the second half. There's nothing wrong with having somebody help you set it up through the first half. It's a very, very important job. 10, 20 seconds the wrong way and it can make a big difference.
Once again, there's the American pace setter.
Jason Hartman. Again, Jason Hartman finished 4th at the Boston Marathon both this year and the year before, and so a very fine runner himself. He's a 6-time All-American, running for the University of Oregon. He's just one of the guys that's been out on the circuit doing a great job.
All right, let's go back to the women and check in with Joan Benoit Samuelson. Joni.
So the pack is closing the gap. Up in that pack is Merima Mohammed and Rita Jeptu and Coco Okaba, and there's Vaisa as well. So it's a really closely knit pack, and they are probably about 25 yards back now. I might also mention that Maria is the oldest elite athlete in the field at 39 years old. She's also a thyroid cancer survivor. But she is looking very strong and fit this year, more so in the past years.
All right, thank you, Joan. When the weather is great, the runners look very, very fit. And we'll be back with more of the 36th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon in just a moment.
How much time? Thank you. Welcome back, everybody, to our coverage of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. The masses going right past me right now on Columbus in front of the NBC5 Tower. Everybody is excited. The crowd is electric. The runners are excited. And some of the crowd members that I have right behind me. What's your name?
Tatiana,
And where are you from?
Mexico.
And who are you cheering for?
My sister Anna.
And she already went by. We saw her go by. So let's do the cheer that we're going to do. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Mexico! Mexico! Rah, rah, rah! So as you can see, a lot of fun here in front of the NBC5 Tower. The runners are going by. I'm looking for my friends. I saw a couple of them go by already. We'll still continue to scan the crowd to see our friends and loved ones. But as I mentioned, it is electric. It's on fire here on Columbus Avenue. So we'll take another scan of the crowd and we'll bring it back to you here in just a few moments. But for now, let's send it back to you, Mike.
Well, thank you. They're right on course record schedule here. We just got a third mile time, 4:41. So they've gone 4:37 rather. So they've gone 4:48, 4:41, 4:37, 5K in 14:45. And spot on.
Yeah, 14:45 is what they wanted. They got that. They're right on 2:04:30 pace right now. So a very good pack of men up there getting the job done. Tony, what can you tell us about that lead pack of men?
Well, the pace setters, Ed, are arrayed across the front, just as they should be, blocking the wind for the pack and setting the pace. Not just setting the pace, but there's about a 5 or 7% advantage in drafting and foot racing as opposed to the big advantage, 30-40% in cycling, let's say, or wheelchair racing. So the Pacers are doing a very good job of setting up across the road. There's 4 miles, 18:56. But what we found is that Moses Mosop, again, is the man everyone seems to be looking at, because he's the one that's right behind the pace setters. Yella Afshiro in the blue top, the great Ethiopian, who was third in London, is right behind him. Emmanuel Mutai, the London Marathon course record holder, right behind Mosop. So Mosop seems to be the guy that people have their eyes on because they know that he's run on this course and run faster on this course than anyone else in this race today. So it's interesting how they arrayed themselves across the line. Sammy Kikwara is debuting 4th place last year, has done many, many more long training runs this year. He learned the event last year in Chicago. I think he's going to be a real factor. Sammy Kikwara, another name to watch.
Tony, can you get any idea of whether they are running into a slight headwind here?
I keep looking for all the flags somewhere. You know, we're moving at around 12 miles an hour ourselves, so we're creating our natural breeze. For some reason, no one in the city of Chicago is flying an American flag today. I see nothing. I see nothing in all the buildings around. I keep scanning the heavens, and heaven forbid there's no flags. But the trees don't seem like they're moving at all. I mean, just standing around down at the start line, it seemed like dead still. I was talking to Sean Hartnett, you know, who's right alongside the lead pack as well, coordinating all the split times for us. And Sean and I were discussing, this is about a 9 out of 10, maybe 9.5 out of 10 on perfect days to run marathons.
But Mike, it's a really good sign that there is such a big pack there moving at course record schedule. It does suggest they're all feeling good about it. Certainly Hartman did a fantastic job those first 3 miles. He's dropped back now to help Ritzenhein, but they have set it up just right. And normally if they're tearing up the road and they're not all feeling great about it, you'd see that pack in almost single file. They'd be stretched out. But that's a big, big group.
Yeah, last man smile in 4 minutes and 40 seconds. We check back with Joan Benoit Samuelson. Joni.
Okay, we just went through 6K, and it's a really closely knit pack right here with Vaisa and Mohammed out front, and then Worknish Kadane, Rita Jipto, and Yukiko Akaban, excuse me. They seem easy. Rita seems like she's working the hardest right now, but she never looks easy. She has that real work ethic, and she doesn't act at all complacently when she's not at all complacent out here. She's working. She's, I think, pushing it. I think they're keying off of her. But Mohammed is pushing the pace right now, and Maria has dropped back a little bit.
Okay, thank you very much, Joan. As we mentioned at the top of our telecast, this race is 26.2 miles through the streets of Chicago, goes through about 29 neighborhoods. I think Carol Marine is in one of them right now. Carol.
You bet I am, Mike. I am approaching Lincoln Park. We're just ahead of the elite runners. One of the unique things about this race is that it gives all of us who call Chicago home and those who come from far away a chance to see the diversity of this great city. More than 1 million spectators are lining these streets. They're cheering these runners on, and as you said, through 29 Chicago neighborhoods.
All right, thank you, Carol.
The streets of Chicago are transformed from an urban roadway into a world-class race course. An unforgettable journey through 29 neighborhoods, all while close to 2 million spectators cheer them on. Runners head through Streeterville, the Mag Mile, Lincoln Park, and the always festive community of Lakefield.
It's a party. It's a big party. Some people even in this neighborhood say, you know, it's like the Pride Parade morning. It's wonderful.
A short distance away, the signature wrought iron gates greet runners at Old Town.
I'm obviously a little bit biased, but I truly do think this is the best place to watch the marathon.
The midsection of the course passes through River North, the West Loop, Greektown, and the heart of Chicago's Little Italy community. The make or break point of the Chicago Marathon comes in one of the most colorful communities along the route.
This is mile 20, which is known as the Wall. They're really fatigued at this point. Their legs are starting to give out. We've got so many volunteers out there cheering for them.
And just around the next turn, completely different scene of ethnic crime.
I think it's some kind of encouragement for those runners. Our lion dance or the drums, they can wake them up and finish the race.
The famous Chinatown Arch at Cermak and Wentworth marks the home stretch, followed by the African-American cultural hub of Bronzeville and the Prairie District. Finally, runners make the turn from Roosevelt onto Columbus. The finish line is finally in sight. A triumphant end to this unique 26.2-mile tour of our city.
And to the people who watch the marathon from those neighborhoods, this day never gets old. We'll be back with more of the 36th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon after a break.